All right, Corey, we have another viewer question from T. Baggins. He asked, 3 years with a girlfriend. I wanted her to lose weight and look hot. Nothing's happened. Should I end it?
You got to see people as they are. It's nice to see them as better than they are, but they got to participate in their own rescue, and they got to want to take care of themselves and to work out for their own self-esteem and because they want to be healthy. And if you're a healthy person and you exercise and you work out and you get into a relationship with somebody that's not, eventually with enough time you'll become just like the person that doesn't work out, and then you won't be working out. And if after 3 years she doesn't love herself enough to take care of herself and she's already overweight, because I did a video this past week that was a guy's problem. He's like, the girl's gained like over 20 pounds in the last 2 years that they've been dating. He's just not as attracted to her anymore because she's bigger. And so he's just not as into it. And he's thinking, should I stay with her? I said, well, just keep in mind, if you do stay with her and you have kids, she's already gained weight. When she gains the baby weight, she probably won't lose it. And then eventually she becomes one of those women with the short hair, overweight, baggy clothes, no makeup. And then you're going to be not interested in that at all. So if she's not taking care of herself now and you've tried to lovingly coax her and guide her and she just is not interested in it, it's like you can't fix somebody. You can't, it's like somebody that is in a bad job that they hate and all they do is complain about it, but they never do anything about it. Or somebody that's an alcoholic that's drinking all the time and can't hold down a job or whatever, then you can't help that person until they crash into the ground, until they hit rock bottom and they're open to be helped. It's just like the the friend or the girlfriend that is overweight and won't take care of herself and she keeps getting bigger and your standards are you want to be in shape. It's you either just have to accept that you're going to put up with a girlfriend that's going to get bigger and bigger over time, in which there's going to be a lot of health problems later on, or you say that doesn't work for me, and I'm going to go find somebody who has that standard already of being in shape and being fit.
Yeah, so for this one, what T Baggins, like what are you doing, right? Are you also gaining weight? Because let's just say you let yourself go and then your focus is on what she's doing or not doing. Like ending it's not going to make a difference. Like you find someone else. There's like a degree of personal responsibility that's there, and the other one is
You have to become what you want to attract,
yeah,
and you can't
yeah.
be upset about your fat girlfriend if you're also fat.
Another one is how are you wanting her to lose weight, right? There is from a loving perspective, encouraging her to join you on this journey, or be like, hey, you're getting fat. You need to lose some weight. Like it's like how are you actually going about it? And
Tactfully.
uh, kind of like going back to the earlier question, if you are growing, so you're constantly growing and developing, you do grow, people grow apart, right? Like just it was appropriate for you guys to be together for these 3 years, and it might not be anymore, or it could just be something where uh, maybe you guys start stagnating a little bit, and you just need to almost figure something out to unwind and then go to that next level, right? So, uh, kind of a loaded question from like one sentence. It's hard to know exactly what's going on, but
Well, as a guy
yeah,
who's in the gym business and the fitness business,
yeah,
what kinds of things, if your girl was packing on, dozens and dozens of pounds,
yeah.
what would you say to her to encourage her to work out? And then how much time would you give her? And at what point would you go, I'm pulling the plug, I'm out of here? She just
So,
doesn't love herself enough to exercise or take care of her body.
so like I'm, that's funny because I'm actually going to use almost like a subjective gauge, right? You actually, it isn't, it's time to move on when you can't actually engage anymore. I don't know what exactly there's not a set amount of time, right? But it's like you go for it, and at a certain point, you know what? Like I'm just going through the motions. I can't engage anymore.
What do you
Um,
mean by that engage? Meaning you just don't
uh,
feel compelled to make the effort? You kind of have given up hope and you realize, well, this is who she is and there's nothing I can do to change it, and therefore it's kind of beating my head against the wall, hoping that she's gonna start exercising and want to. Even despite the encouragement I've given her, it's like she's a lost cause in this.
yeah, I would say it's like it's like just when I'm being honest with myself, like, do I actually still want to work on this? Like, do I want to actually commit? Right? It's that level of commitment. Like, do I still want to commit? And I think actually all the guys have experienced that from the female side too, where you kind of mess up, and at a certain point, she gives you chances, and she's trying to get you to wake up, right? And then you cross that threshold, she stops nagging you, but like you're done, you know. And sometimes the relationship could go on for another 6 months, a year, 2 years, but she checked out a year and a half ago, and I think male and females both at that point, and before you get to that point you're still engaging, and she has that window of opportunity too, right, to figure it
So what
out.
kinds of things would you say to encourage her though when you first recognize is like she's not extra, she stopped working out or she's not been
Yeah,
heading into it. So what are you going to say to try to motivate her
so
and encourage her? Because
so me,
obviously you
yeah.
always take care of
So
yourself.
me personally, right, I think like people, women I date, they feel some kind of motivation, obligation, pressure to exercise
Just
because
because you're doing it all the
I'm
time.
doing it all the time. So it'll be really weird if they just weren't doing it. So every girl I dated, actually, last one I dated that didn't exercise consistently was 16, 15 years ago. So it's been a while. But I my first go-to is I always encourage them to come work out with me, right? And so it's this
So it's like, hey,
thing
babe,
that,
come to the gym with me. Let's
yeah,
go
it's
work
this thing
out.
we're doing together,
You look
and
hot in those leotards.
I can make it like interactive. It's, we could do a workout where we're working together as a team, where we're doing something together, right? And so it's a very low. It's very easy if they somehow have lost momentum recently to start getting the momentum again, and and I genuinely mean it, right? And it's because when I see them working out, or they're working out with me, or they're doing their thing, I really appreciate it. So I let them know. I'm like, I really like it, like when you're working out, and it's not something I'm like, oh man, she's getting fat, so let me tell her that. Let me throw this praise at her, positive reinforcement. But I actually really feel that and mean it, so I say it, and I never actually had to get to the point where none of that stuff works. So I don't know beyond that. Like usually they're pretty self-sustaining as far as doing their own thing, and if somehow they don't, it's just offering to work out with them, and even if they are doing it, they want to work out. I always work out with them. So if you're doing it yourself, it makes it a lot easier.
Leading by example. In other
Yeah,
words.
for them doing it, and somehow they're still not doing it. You know,
She's
that's
not being a team
yeah.
player anyways at that point because you're like a one-man band basically
Yeah, because
going to the gym.
there's certain stuff too where, if you're active and you're living that lifestyle, it the person's not a fit for you if they're not doing that, right? Like that's one where
Exactly. There's
it's
deeper
really tough.
uncompatible. Like there's more uncompatible issues than that.
Yeah,
That's
like,
probably
right? Like if like I'm not really religious, right? If I was dating someone that was really religious, we're just not on the same path. Like it's
Different
what are
values.
we doing here? It's not wrong. That's probably not a good fit.
What's interesting about how the question is worded, 3 years with girlfriend, I wanted her to lose weight and look hot. So by reading that, I get the impression that he wants a Ferrari, but he settled for a station wagon.
Yeah, he's
And
like,
he
you got to fix
sees,
her up, or he's like, I can work with this. I
oh,
can get
she's
her to.
cute.
If she just got
She's
lost
good
20
looking.
pounds, like she'd be
She's
amazing.
got a nice frame, but she just does this, just does
Yeah.
that. So I would say this individual needs to take a look in the mirror. And why did you lower your standards? Because we've all seen those women that are like, wow, she's beautiful, she's this, she's that. But if I could only get this dialed in, man, then she'd be right. Or if I only have her work on, get her stop the smoking, then she'll be. If I only get her to lose 30 pounds, man, then she would be hot. You're in a pipe dream, buddy. You want to know who she is? What she's been telling you who she is for the last 3 years.
Yeah.
You haven't been listening. Accept her for who she is, and love her for who and what she is. And if you're cool with that, you got to keep her, man. But if you're not content with that, then I would say take a look in the mirror and say the problem wasn't that they're not losing weight. The problem is that you expected them to lose weight and be something that they're not, and they don't have the value system for. And you need to connect with someone who has the same values that you have. Without more information, that's what taking the question for face value. That's how it seems to me.
Yeah, you don't want to get into the business of trying to change someone.
That ain't gonna work.
That doesn't
And they feel
it
that.
doesn't work.
A woman doesn't want to be with a man who's trying to change her.
Yeah.
That she doesn't feel accepted. She doesn't feel loved.
Yeah.
I said, if anything, the more she feels loved and accepted and appreciated for the way that she is, at that point, if she has the value system to exercise, then maybe at that point she will. But you need to take a look in the mirror and realize what you bought, buddy.
Yeah, and also losing weight and looking hot, right? It'll really only work when it's her idea, right? If it's your idea and she feels like pressure or like force or shame or guilted into doing it.
Especially if you date a girl, it's more like I had a girlfriend that was Miss Figure competitor. I mean, she was used to be a personal trainer. She was a fucking maniac, and she was a hell of an athlete. And I always ran 3 to 4 days a week, and I'd go run with her, and she'd run fast. I was like, fuck. It was like 5'2", just not an ounce of fat on her. And
Was she stronger than you?
when we first started dating, yeah, not like bench press or anything like that, but it's like, man, I realized when we were having sex one time, and it's like I'm like sweating, and we're both doing a lot of work, and it's like she didn't even have any moisture on her brow. It was like nothing. And so by the time we got done having sex, I was like beat to hell. I was just thinking, man, I gotta start lifting weights again. This is embarrassing.
Yeah.
I got in shape in a few months, though. It was like,
Yeah.
That's a quality problem, ladies and gentlemen.
yes, it is. And what's cool about dating somebody like that is that, oh, come on, let's go to the gym.
But you have
So-
the same values.
Yeah, well,
She
so
just put more energy into it.
She even wants to go to the gym more than I did, and she was a great influence. And that's what's cool. If you're open to it and you already do it, and you get with somebody that's really disciplined with it, you'll become even more disciplined. And so if you're both in great shape, when you're like, let's just stay in bed today, or it's like, come on, you'll get each other out of bed on the days that you don't feel like it. So it's for longevity wise, if you're going to be together for a long time, that's very helpful.
Yeah.
Versus
And the older
somebody.
women they typically don't get better and better shape as they get older.
Well, it's like you were talking about. A lot of people come into the gym when they had a breakup,
Yeah.
and then they're there for a certain period of time, and then they meet somebody new, and then they disappear, and it's like
it's
what
crazy.
are the numbers on that? What's this life cycle of the guy that just had the breakup and he's coming to you?
I mean, they don't always tell me, right? Sometimes it comes out later. Sometimes, I would say that's the number 2 most common reason for men.
And so they come to you because they had a breakup. They want to get in shape. They want to attract a good-looking woman to replace the one that broke it off and they got out of shape with. So how many months does it take them to get in shape? And then how many months once they get in shape before they dip out because they got a new girlfriend?
So statistically speaking, if they lost momentum and then they come in, it's a very low percentage where they get to where I look at them like, man, this guy has just turned into an absolute like beast. It just that's off the top of my head, I can't think of one. So I'm sure it can happen. I just can't think of one. But as far as
Most of them regress. They come, they work out,
No,
to
they
look good for dating, and then
they get better. They definitely get better, right? But I'm talking about hitting like a high level. I can't think of one off the top of my head. Not saying that doesn't happen.
What do you mean at a high level? Meaning they get in shape and they stay in shape?
Where like they can physically perform, then you look at him like, man, this guy is just got in really good shape, right? Because
when we did that podcast, you were talking about guys that came in, they start working out. It's like maybe a year and a half, 2 years before they
sooner
stopped
than that.
coming in, and then you don't see him for a long time because he and the girl met at your gym.
Yeah, so
and then they get
sooner than
serious
that.
and they disappear, and then their relationship goes sideways, and they come in and they're all overweight and out of shape, and then they get back in shape. And then they get back to the dating market, and then once they get serious with somebody, then at some point they both disappear.
Yeah, so it's more like, okay, there's a shock to the system, right? You just got dumped, and you realize you have nothing. Like, you have no momentum. I have to do something about it, right? So they come in, and they'll get to, I will say, a level of like progress and momentum where it's pretty good on their way to maybe great. And then like at least my gym, it's very social. Everyone pretty much knows everyone else. There's a lot of like friend groups. We do a lot of social stuff together. So they either meet someone at the gym or outside the gym, and then if I guess they're whatever is motivating them didn't shift, then as soon as they just find someone else, like that motivation's gone. And then
So what's the
they
time
stop.
frame from the time they come back in the gym until they dip out on average again?
Yeah, so for someone with no momentum to get momentum, somewhere between like 6 months to a year. And then usually around 6 months to a year to maybe a year and a half, like that period of time is when, they'll, as you get more momentum, you're likely to meet someone, and they meet someone, and they either stop coming as much or disappear.
So about after a
Yeah.
year and a half, they dip out.
6 months to a year and a half. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. But and it's right. But something happened for them to
You know,
left themselves to get there in the first place.
the year and a half time frame. There was an article I read a couple years ago, and it talked about what the average time it takes for somebody to get over a breakup, whether it's a marriage or a long-term girlfriend or somebody that they live with, or they were boyfriend girlfriend for several years, to get to the point from where the breakup happens to where they're like really emotionally free of it and able to move on, and those negative feelings have dissolved. It's typically about a year and a half for most people.
Wow.
So it's interesting. They come in, start working out, and then a year and a half,
Yeah.
and they're really over the ex, and it's kind of
Yeah.
like at the limit of where they find somebody new because they've really moved on from the past, and they're no longer attached to it, and they're in good shape. They feel good. They look good. They're looking forward to the future once again, and then boom, they meet somebody, and it's like they're just like you said, their motivation's gone, and now they're gone until. Oftentimes, how
when they
long
come
until they come back again?
That is usually like another year or two for the few that I've seen, right? And it's
And it's the same thing all over again, about between 6 months to a year and a half before they.
so my gym's only been open for 8 or 9 years. I haven't had enough time for that.
But you got several
second life
several
cycle.
people in the hamster wheel.
There's a couple that
keep
that left, and then I used to like joke around. It's like the curse of leaving the gym. It's people leave the gym, and I see them a year or two later, and it's bad. Like it's like
they really let themselves go.
like, oh my God, it's like how did you work out so consistently and take care of yourself and just completely stop? Like, you don't have to work out at this gym, just do something, but it's more often than not they
had a baby.
Come on, man. Come on, Dom.
They
2
had a baby.
years.
The before and after pictures, it's crazy.
Yeah, you're like half the size.
Yeah.
you
I am
used to
half
be,
the
man.
size.
that's the
You're
thing, right? It's like, okay,
It's crazy the difference, man. The
'Cause
body's very adaptable.
Lo-
You were
logically-
stocky, man. You're
I was looking good.
thick. Yeah.
logically it blows my mind,
know.
right? So if
As
you
soon as you and Ashley got back together, it was like,
like if you have momentum and you're working out, you're taking care of yourself, right? And then you leave the gym and you have some other option where you're going to do it. Totally understand, right? But if you were doing it and then you just stop and you just don't do anything, that's what I never like understood it logically. Because it's like, okay, if you left for another option, I would understand. But you just leave and just stop, like why? What happened? What's going on? And there's always like a reason, right? But like that part doesn't make sense logically.